Hi, Brad. My name is Brant Kasbohm. I'm a PGA golf professional and the Director of Instruction at FixYourGame.com. Wanted to say thanks for your playing and your participation in the Quality State Oil Citgo MDA Golf Challenge this past week, and especially for your support of MDA. And also thanks to Palermo's Pizza for sponsoring today's FixYourGame.com golf lesson and for their support of MDA as well. We're going to talk about your golf swing for a few minutes today. You'll notice that directly above this video is a written part of the lesson where I go into some more detail about some of the fundamentals that we're going to talk about today, as well as I provide links to some YouTube videos that where I demonstrate some drills and practice techniques that will help you to improve on these fundamentals that we're going to talk about right now. You'll see we've got you over here on the left-hand side of the screen, and we're going to use a couple of well-known tour pros to compare your swing to. This is Luke Donald. He's among the top 2 or 3 players in the world, so there aren't a whole lot better examples out there to compare ourselves to than to Mr. Donald here. The first thing I wanted to make note of here is your alignment. When I look at where your feet are pointed, they're pointed way to the right. Same with your shoulders. I can actually see your left arm here, so that tells me your shoulders are, closed, and they're pointed way to the right as well. Everything should be pointed parallel to each other. So if our target is this green up here, which it was, this par 3, everything should be pointed parallel to that line. You can see where Luke's feet are pointed. You can see where his shoulders are pointed. You can see where his club is pointed. Everything is square. So then it's no surprise then when he hits the ball here that the ball takes off and goes right along that line that he was pointed to, that everything was squared to. So because you're aimed so far to the right, that means that you have to make some kind of compensating movement for that in order for the ball to get going in this direction. So you're aimed well to the right, so you got to make another sort of compensating move for that. So every time you have one move and then another compensating move, that's additional moving parts. And so additional moving parts are more things that can go wrong and added inconsistency into the golf swing. So we want to get you squared up to your target. One of the simplest ways to do that is to pick what we call an intermediate target. So stand behind your ball right back here and look at right down this line, right down your target line, at your ultimate target, which is the green or the fairway or whatever it may be, and pick a little spot a foot or 2 in front of your ball, and it can be a divot or a broken tee or a clump of dirt or a piece of grass or whatever it might be. And then when you stand up next to the ball, it's much easier to square yourself to something that's only a foot or 2 away than it is to something that might be 100 or 200 or 300 yards down the fairway. Something that you see every single one of the elite players like Luke Donald and his colleagues. They all stand back here and look down their target line, and one of the things they're doing is picking out a small spot directly in front of their ball that can help them get squared to their ultimate target. So that's the first thing I wanted to talk about, is getting you squared to your target. The second thing I want to talk about is getting a better grip on the club. We want to have the club gripped in the fingers of each hand and not in the palm of our hand. And when I look at the back of your hand is pointed in this direction, kind of towards your target, whereas when I look at this gentleman here, this is Rory McIlroy, he's got his hand rotated to the right of where your hand is, so you can see the back of his hand, you can see the logo of his glove, and if you look real close, you can see 2 or 3 knuckles on the outside of his left hand. His left thumb is pointed up in this direction, where your left thumb is pointed up in this direction. So having the club gripped in the palm of your hand really limits the flexibility that you have in your wrists and your forearms, and it leads to the tendency for that club face to remain open, which causes a slice. So believe it or not, how we have our hands on the club directly impacts the flight of the ball. So I like to see you get your fingers underneath the club and have your thumb rotated to the right, so that rotate your palm of your hand so that sits on top of the club, so that thumb points up here in this direction. And there's a YouTube video that I show some close-up shots of how the club should lay in your fingers and how your hand should look on the golf club. So that's the second thing I wanted to talk about today, and I can't say enough of how important it is to have a good grip fundamental. Everything can snowball from there. If we don't have a good grip on the club, there's a number of things that can happen, and unfortunately none of them are good. So the third thing I wanted to talk about, we talked about alignment and we talked about grip. Both of those things occur before we've moved the club, before we started the swing. So we're going to talk about one thing that happens during your swing that I think we can improve on. Watch how as you swing the club, you at the top of your swing here, on your way down, on your downswing, you move up and out of your posture here. See, as you get towards impact, you are moving up and out of your posture, and so much so that here we are at impact, or just after impact. Watch your feet here as we get through impact. Your heels actually come up off the ground, and you actually almost jump a little bit there. You can see you're almost on your tiptoes there as you make contact with the ball. So we want this. This is a huge cause of inconsistency in the golf swing. This motion of lifting up and rising up and out of our posture is another moving part in the golf swing, so it's something else that can go wrong. If you watch Luke Donald here, watch his spine angle, watch the top of his head as he swings the club. There's very little change in this posture. Whoops, I went too fast. There's very little change in his posture and his spine angle throughout his swing. He hasn't changed it during the swing. So that's why these tour pros hit the ball so solidly. You never see these guys top or shank or whiff or miss, because they're keeping their posture constant throughout the swing. They're not raising up or lowering. So there's very, very few moving parts in the swing of these elite players coming up and out of our posture. I just can't say enough of how much that causes inconsistency, because it's nearly impossible to make that same motion every time. And it might not sound like much. Say your head has come up, 2 inches, 3 inches? That doesn't sound like a whole lot. But when we realize that the golf ball is only 1 2/3 inches in diameter, then it makes a little more sense how it doesn't take very much movement at all for all of a sudden, then we can top the ball or whiff the ball or hit it fat or just inconsistent contact. So look at the YouTube videos above. There are some drills that will help you make a better rotation, keeping your posture constant. We don't want to rise up and out of our good posture as we swing the club. So the 3 things we talked about today is, number 1, getting you into a better alignment, getting aimed squarely at your target. We don't want to be pointed well to the right. Everything needs to be square. Our feet, hips, shoulders all need to be square to our target. Second thing is we want to have a good grip on the club, have the club gripped in the fingers of each hand and not in the palms of each hand. So that means you need to rotate your hand to the right, and so you can look down and see 2 or 3 knuckles here on the outside of your left hand. And then the third thing is we want to make a swing without coming up and out of our posture. So we want to stay steady and constant throughout the swing and not change our posture, because like I said, those add moving parts to the golf swing. And anytime you have moving parts, that's additional things that can go wrong and additional causes of inconsistency. Thanks again, Brad, for playing in the Quality State Oil Citgo MDA Golf Challenge this past week, and especially for your support of MDA. Thanks also to Palermo's Pizza for their sponsorship of today's lesson and their support of MDA as well. If there's any questions or anything I can help you with, send me an email, info@fixyourgame.com. Thanks, Brad. Hope to work with you in the future. Have a great day.